The Affordable Care Act is now covering more people at less cost than most would have predicted just a few months ago. And as more data comes in, we now know that the number of Americans who've signed up for private insurance in the marketplaces has grown to 8 million people. 8 million people. As I've said before, I find it strange that the Republican position on this law is still stuck in the same place that it has always been. They still can't bring themselves to admit that the Affordable Care Act is working.
While it didn't make the waves some might have wanted, the news that yet another private physician in Alaska was closing his practice after 38 years can only drive home what has been a fear since the inception of the Affordable Health Care Act. Doctors simply unable or unwilling to make the economics work of a system that is driving many to consider another line of work or retirement. Now we have reached the second stage of enrollment and the second stage of discourse over whether the plan really works, chock full of numbers and assertions that both sides are more than ready to counter. Let's welcome back to MidPoint, the Deputy Health Editor for Newsmax.com and our guest weekly here on MidPoint for the House Call, Nick Tate, and a small business owner in South Florida who has a personal and not so wonderful experience with Obamacare he will share with us, Matt Ganzak. First of all, Nick, thanks for joining us again. Matt, thanks a lot for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We don't usually hear from a lot of people, a lot of citizens, as to what they've gone through. You have a very special problem and a very special issue that Obamacare has forced you into. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I've just recently moved from New York State down to Florida State, moved my business and my family down here, and tried to set up health insurance here in Florida, and they have told me that I have not had a qualifying event to move down to Florida, and I have moved past 60 days, but I had 2 residences, still have clients up in New York, and I just now, as of this past week, have moved my business to Florida. So they're telling me that I cannot be insured in Florida. Yeah, I cannot be insured until November 15th at the earliest date.
What exactly, when you say qualifying event, did they tell you exactly what that is?
They did. They said a qualifying event is signing a lease, signing a mortgage, signing up a utility bill, or that is all of a qualifying event. And I had 2 residences in New York and in Florida at the same time as the transition was happening, but on paper and legally, last week my business officially moved from New York to Florida.
Then they won't accept that as a qualifying event, that you've actually moved?
No, they will not take an IRS document. It needs to be a lease or a mortgage or a utility bill. And I moved 76 days ago, so according to them, because that's when I signed my lease.
So here we go, Nick, somebody who's hung out to dry here by what seems to me, at least, and a lot of people, to be something that could have been addressed before the law went into effect and made it easier. How am I doing so far?
You got it right. The big picture here is that the Affordable Care Act was supposed to make getting health insurance easier. It was supposed to make it a better situation for folks who needed it, regardless of which state you lived in. It was supposed to be this big program for everyone in the country, and what we're finding is there are more cases that are not isolated cases like Matt's. There are hundreds of thousands, perhaps more than that, of individuals who are caught in between some of these regulations. This is what happens, I think, when you pass a law that's 2,500 pages and has 500 provisions, and you don't have the people to police it, enforce it, and even pick up the phone and call and say, here's what your situation is.
Okay.
Now, go ahead.
No, wait, there you go. You were just talking about doing something really easy, picking up the phone and calling. When you've gone through this whole process, what have you found? Has it been difficult, non-responsive? What has it been like dealing with the various agencies to try and get something done?
Well, first of all, I went online trying to find where to sign up for
health
insurance.
Sorry.
So that in itself was a task. And the way that it worked was I signed up to something, and now I have tons of people calling me, but they're all brokers trying to sell me health insurance. So now my phone's ringing off the hook.
People that you never solicited, brokers,
no.
you went in. Now, wait a minute, here's something else that people don't hear. Brokers calling, isn't there supposed to be a law against that, or something where people aren't just supposed to be able to grab your information and start coming after you?
No, and in fact, if you read into what's posted, once you make that call, they can hand your information off, and do. And so you're getting the solicitations from insurance brokers. Now, brokers can be helpful to you, but what you really want to do is you want to get somebody at HHS or IRS to say, here's what's happening with your case. here's what you need to do, here's the information you need to give us, and then we can remedy the situation, ruling in your favor or not. There's about 600,000 people in the country so far that we know of that have what have been termed irregularities. They haven't established residency, citizenship, income. There are questions, and even in those cases where I'm told that consumer advocates and attorneys representing those individuals have provided that information, there still is no remedy at hand. The decisions are not being made, and I think it's because the IRS and probably HHS don't have enough people to actually police the many complexities of this law and deal with individuals like you.
So here we go, Matt. I got a couple of minutes left, but I want people to understand. You've been without health insurance for how long?
I still have health insurance actually right now in New York State, and I don't want to have to pay those premiums for out-of-network. So I want to switch to Florida, and I'm still insured, and I'm a healthy 31-year-old. I should be the people that they want to insure, but they're turning me away and won't even take my phone calls.
They're turning you away because of this qualifying event, because you don't have this?
Because I moved my business and I moved my life, and everything was very calculated, but it was 76 days, and that's when I signed my lease, and that's the only qualifying event they'll take.
So here's some numbers we're going to show some folks right here. Here's the source is a Wall Street Journal NBC poll. Are you in favor of Obamacare? 48% against, 34% in favor. Matt, can I guess that you would go in the red side there, that it simply hasn't been what you expected?
I would love to be in the green side, but it's not helping me, and I can't be insured right now, so I'm in the red.
Does someone like Matt have any recourse? Is there anything else you can do but just wait and get out of being stuck in the system?
Sure, there are things you can do. You can pay more, and that's probably what you're doing, because your health insurance does not go across state lines, which is the other provision in Obamacare that is not allowed. You, as an out-of-state, out-of-network patient, you, your family, others that are on your policy will have to pay those extra fees, at least until November. That's pretty much all you can do. There are some suggestions I can make to you and will off camera, but for the most part, a lot of folks who are in the situation that you're in are really stuck, and this is why I think that the election in November and the election in 2016 really are going to be referendums on whether Obamacare is working or not.
I only got 10 seconds. Has all this changed how you're going to vote in the midterms?
Yeah, of course.
Can I ask which side you'll probably vote for then in the midterms?
Whichever side will benefit me. So far, the last 7+ years haven't been beneficial for my
There you go.
business.
That should be the answer. Matt, thank you so much for coming in and letting us know. Mr. Tate,
My
always
pleasure.
a pleasure to see you, my friend. We'll do it again real soon.
Okay.
Next hour here on MidPoint, a plan that is doomed to failure in the Middle East, and whatever happened to the global breaking story about the kidnapped girls in Nigeria. After the break, the man who jumped a fence and put national security square in the crosshairs at the White House. That and so much more coming up right here on MidPoint.